Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. Today we have a bunch of interesting stories in and around AI coding. We've got some anecdotes from inside big companies around just how much code is being written by AI. We've got a monster funding round for an agentic coding company, alongside a really interesting personnel move where one of the leading voices around AI engineering is going to that company. And we also have some really interesting and impressive results on a coding benchmark that I think altogether can help us understand where AI and agentic coding is right now and where it's headed. Now, to get into this, I want to take a step back to where we were. It's been clear throughout most of the year that agentic coding was one of the most important and breakout AI use cases. Early on in the year, we had the CEOs of Microsoft and Alphabet talking about how much of their code was being written by AI. The numbers that were shared in and around the March and April timeframe were around 30% in both of those cases, although by June, Microsoft officials had upped that number to 40%. Around the same time, Zuckerberg said that while he wasn't exactly sure what percentage of code was being written by AI, estimating between 20 and 30%, he thought that they were going to be on a trajectory to be at around 50% by the next year in 2026. Now, it was also around this time that Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei made a really big and bold prediction that over just the next 3 to 6 months, AI might be writing up to 90% of all code. At a Council of Foreign Relations event in March, he said, "I think we will be there in 3 to 6 months where AI is writing 90% of the code. And then in 12 months, we may be in a world where AI is writing essentially all of the code." Now, one of the things that even then people got was that the prediction was probably more about where AI's coding capabilities were and less about the complex integration and organizational inertia which would hold it back. In other words, to the extent that that number wasn't being hit, it would be less about AI's capabilities and more about just the normal slowness in human adoption of new technologies. Now, recently, people have been arguing that this prediction is just kind of off. I shared recently the information piece, which actually asked Claude to grade the prediction and gave it an F. It's very clear that if in practice the number was an overshoot, directionally, Dario seems oriented towards the future that we're getting. Indeed, one of the problems with quoting such a high number is that it then makes numbers that otherwise would seem extreme seem not so extreme. For example, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong recently tweeted that around 40% of code was now being written by AI at Coinbase, and that he was aiming for that to be 50% by October. Well, now we've got another report from Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev. In a recent podcast appearance, he said that when asked what percentage of Robinhood's new code is generated by AI, he thought that it was around 50%, although the nature of the new systems makes it a little hard to know. He said, "We've moved from GitHub Copilot, which is an autocomplete system, to Cursor and now things like Windsurf, where nearly all of the code is written by AI. It's hard to even determine what the human-generated code is." He estimated, in fact, that the new code that was written by humans was now officially in the minority, i.e. less than 50%. He also said that among the company's engineers, close to 100% were using AI code editors. Now, you'll note that one of the benefits that a company like Robinhood has is that it sounds like they're not locking their people in tools like GitHub Copilot, and the high adoption rate probably reflects that. Now, obviously, Robinhood and Coinbase are tech-forward companies. They were what we would have called startups just a few years ago, and so some big enterprises might be tempted to dismiss this high percentage of code now being written by AI as a byproduct of their natural tech-forwardness. I tend to think, however, that savvy organizations will take the exact opposite response and think to themselves that if the guys closest to technology are getting up to 40 or 50% of their code written by AI, those might serve as interesting goals for our organization or enterprise to go after as well. Even Dario isn't giving up the ghost on his 90% number. In a recent interview with BBC, he said that that's about what it was at Anthropic, 90% of the code being written or at least suggested by AI. And part of the reason that this is on such the upswing is that the tooling is just getting better. One of the really interesting phenomenon coming after the GPT-5 launch is the way that we've gone from the phase of people being disappointed with GPT-5 to OpenAI's coding platform Codex starting to see a dramatic upswing and a reclaiming of certain ground that they had lost to Anthropic's Claude Code. It was very clear during the GPT-5 launch that the use case that they cared most about and were most trying to catch up in was AI-assisted and agentic coding, and that play seems to be paying off. Last week, Sam Altman tweeted, "Really cool to see how much people are loving Codex. Usage is up around 10x in the past 2 weeks. Lots more improvements to come, but already the momentum is so impressive." On the same day, AI researcher Jan Peleg wrote, "The Codex CLI hype is real. I just tried it. GPT-5 High in Codex is great. It stays on track much longer than Opus, never gives up on your task even if it takes a while, much longer context window, no arguing or you're absolutely writing." Peter Levels wrote just this morning as I'm recording this on Tuesday, September 9th, "Things in AI change so fast. In July, everyone switched from Cursor to Claude Code. In September, everyone switches back from Claude Code to Cursor or Codex, after Anthropic allegedly decreased the quality of responses to save money. By the way, Anthropic is strenuously denying that claim of intentional model degradation. The point is just that the tooling is getting way, way better. Whether you're on Claude Code or Cursor or Codex, all of these things are just light years ahead of where the tooling was even just 9 or 12 months ago. Now, speaking of tooling, we got a big funding announcement yesterday, this time from Cognition, who are the makers of Devin. The company raised the fresh $400 million at a whopping $10.2 billion post-money valuation. The company has seen incredible growth in just a year. Eric Gleiman from Ramp wrote, "Last year, pre-revenue, bold demo, borrowed Ramp's office on a Sunday to film a launch video. This year, $10 billion company, revolutionary product, core contributor to Ramp's codebase. Congrats to the team at Cognition, living proof of how fast AI is moving." Now, alongside the announcement, we got some really interesting details from the Cognition team. They took the chance to talk about how much has changed when it comes to agentic software engineering in just a year. They wrote, "We founded Cognition last year to build the future of software engineering. We envision a world of software abundance where engineers become architects, solving the most challenging problems and focusing on their creative visions while tasking an army of autonomous agents to support them on everything else. Last March, when we launched Devin, the AI software engineer, it wasn't clear this future would ever become a reality. While Devin could knock some tasks out of the park, for the most part, it was still a very junior engineer. Today, the baseline has changed drastically. While we are still in the earliest innings of AI code, agents are already doing real work alongside individual developers and within large enterprise engineering teams. As with many technologies throughout history, what first seemed a fringe theory quickly became an obvious reality. The company shared that Devin's ARR had grown from $1 million annualized back in September 2024 to $73 million in June of this year. What's more, the company's last-minute acquisition of Windsurf, which happened in the wake of the deal between Windsurf and OpenAI following through, seemed to provide a windfall for the company. They wrote, "Our acquisition of Windsurf more than doubled our ARR. More importantly, it gave us the complete product suite for AI coding. Today, the two main forms of AI coding tools are IDEs and agents. Engineers naturally want both. The IDE for when you want to make each decision yourself, with a speed up from AI assistance, and agents to delegate complete tasks asynchronously. Combination seems to be working, as they say their acquisition of Windsurf more than doubled their ARR, and their combined enterprise-focused ARR is up 30% in the 7 weeks since buying Windsurf." Now, this combination of offerings was a big part of why Sean Wang, better known to you guys as Swix, the host of Latent Space, the curator of the AI Engineer Summit and the AI Engineer World's Fair, announced alongside the deal that he would be joining Cognition full-time. He wrote a post which you can find at Swix, SWYX.io/Cognition, about his reason to do so, and it is absolutely not just some LinkedIn post about taking a new job. Instead, it's a meditation and a reflection on the state of AI coding right now. He actually divided his reasoning into 5 different buckets: a non-technical thesis, an agents thesis, an engineer thesis, a business model thesis, and a team thesis. The combination of Devin and Windsurf was a big part of the engineer thesis. He called it local agent speed plus cloud agent capacity. Windsurf for individual speed, Devin for unlimited parallel capacity. And what's interesting to me about this is that I think in this case, AI coding is modeling what are likely to be broader adoption patterns across other use cases as well. Basically, what Cognition has done with this acquisition is combine the individual productivity use case, i.e. the human augmentation use case, with the automated non-human opportunity of agents as well. Point being that it's not going to be one or the other, it's going to be a both and. Swix, by the way, called this owning the sync-async spectrum. A couple other things that I thought were really interesting from this post and that are worth chewing on. Sean said that his central realization was code AGI will be achieved in 20% of the time of full AGI and capture 80% of the value of AGI. What this led him to was to, quote, just do code AI now rather than later. He also makes an interesting argument about why agent labs versus model labs have some advantages heading into the next generation of AI competition. Sean wrote, "From 2015, when OpenAI was founded, to 2025, the right place to work was clearly at model labs, seeing through the 3 paradigms of pre-training, scaling, and reasoning. Now, however," he wrote, "the business justification for agent labs is simple. I can't keep up with all this AI stuff. Let me hire the guys who nerd out about this all day to keep us on top of things. That is about the level of abstraction that the lower 90% of the AI bell curve can deal with." He then explores a few different reasons why agent labs will have relative alpha compared to model labs. He argues that agent labs are product first, and that while model labs create frontier models, it's the job of the agent labs to adapt them to domains that they don't fully solve yet. Like I said, it's a really interesting rumination, and honestly, I think that if there's any takeaway, it's that even though this round is being done for Cognition at a $10 billion valuation, this still feels so early innings for what agentic coding and AI coding are actually going to do in the world. On that front, a last note before we head out for today. Blitzy, who is of course one of the sponsors for this show, just announced some wild results on the Swebench verified test. The company is claiming 86.8% performance, which will represent more than a 13% improvement over the previous best. And to be a bit overly reductive, they basically solved it by radically extending the thinking time available to agents to solve what were previously considered unsolvable problems. Said Sid Pardeshi, Blitzy's CTO and co-founder, the unsolvables weren't actually unsolvable, they just required deeper thinking than System 1 AI could provide. He continued, by design, Blitzy enables AI to think for hours or days rather than seconds or minutes, unlocking solutions to problems that stumped every previous approach. This validates inference time scaling as the key to exponential capability improvements. Now, given how much I've talked about how benchmarks are washed, and how consistently we talk about where the next big improvements in AI performance are going to come from, I think we're going to dig into this a little bit farther. But again, the reminder here is that for as obvious as AI and agentic coding have become, we are still so barely scratching the surface on how it collectively is going to change the world. For now, though, that's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Appreciate you listening or watching as always. Until next time, peace.